I never thought much about the food carts on Canal Street. You see them all over the city, these little metal boxes on wheels, smelling of grease and exhaust, serving up quick meals to people in a hurry. But this one was different. That it's hard to explain, even now, that it wasn't just about the food, that it was about her and him, and the way the whole city seemed to shrink down to just the three of us under those sickly yellow streetlights. Her name was Chloe. We worked together at a digital marketing firm on Broadway, and we just pulled a 14-hour day trying to salvage a campaign for a client who changed his mind more often than he changed his socks. My eyes were burning from staring at a screen, and my back ached. All I wanted was to get on the 6 train, go home to my studio in Astoria, and fall face-first into my pillow. "I'm starving," Chloe announced, her voice cutting through the late-night hum of the city. She stretched her arms over her head, and my tired eyes, almost against my will, tracked the movement. Her blouse, a silky gray thing, pulled taut across her chest, that I could see the outline of her bra strapped through the thin fabric, a faint dark line against the gray. That I quickly looked away, feeling a flush of guilt. She was my co-worker. We were friends. But sometimes in moments like this, exhausted and strung out, my brain would just fixate that it was inappropriate, and I knew it, but the thought was there, a low humming static in the back of my skull. "There's gotta be something open," I said, my voice sounding rough. "A halal cart, maybe?" "God, no more chicken and rice," she groaned, rubbing her temples. "I need something specific that I don't even know what. My brain is fried." We walked south, the towering buildings of the financial district feeling like canyon walls, blocking out the sky. The usual daytime bustle was gone, replaced by the lonely echo of our footsteps and the occasional wail of a siren blocks away. The air was cool, carrying the damp, metallic smell of the subway grates and the distant, salty hint of the river. That's when we saw the cart. It was parked near the corner of Canal and Church, a spot usually occupied by a surly guy selling knockoff purses and umbrellas during the day. The cart itself was unremarkable, a standard stainless steel hot dog or halal cart, its surface streaked with grime and years of cooked-on grease. A single bare bulb hung from a wire above the serving window, buzzing faintly and casting a jaundiced glow on the pavement below. There was no name on it, no menu board, just a man standing inside, perfectly still, waiting. "Weird spot for a cart," I muttered. "Who cares?" "It's food," Chloe said, already veering toward it. Her hips swayed slightly in her tight black work pants with every step, a movement that was both utterly mundane and, in my exhausted, hyper-aware state, completely hypnotic. I followed, a step behind, my eyes dropping to the way her calf muscles flexed with each click of her heels on the pavement. As we got closer, I could see the man inside more clearly. He was tall and gaunt, with skin that had a pale, waxy quality, like old cheese. He wasn't old, but he wasn't young either. It was impossible to place his age. He wore a clean but faded white apron over a dark shirt. His hair was thin, plastered to his scalp. But it was his eyes that got me. They were dark, deeply set, and they didn't seem to blink. They just watched us approach, utterly still. "What's good here?" Chloe asked, her voice bright and professional, the one she used with difficult clients. She leaned forward slightly to peer into the cart's dim interior, and the neckline of her blouse gaped just a fraction. I saw the smooth, pale skin of her chest, the delicate hollow at the base of her throat. I looked away quickly, my face heating up, and found the vendor's unblinking eyes fixed on me. It felt like he'd seen the whole shameful glance, like he'd recorded it. He didn't answer her question. He just stared at her for a long moment, then slowly turned his head to me. His neck didn't seem to move like a normal person's. It was more like a camera panning on a tripod. "What do you desire?" he asked. His voice was flat, devoid of inflection, like a text-to-speech program reading a neutral sentence. It wasn't, "What do you want?" or, "What can I get you?" It was, "What do you desire?" The word hung in the air, feeling heavy and intimate. Chloe laughed, a nervous, tinkling sound. "I desire a cheeseburger and about 12 hours of sleep. You got burgers?" The man didn't smile. He didn't react at all. He just kept looking at me, waiting for my answer. The silence stretched. I could hear the buzz of the light bulb, the distant rumble of a truck. I'll just have a hot dog with everything," I said, just to say something, to break that unnerving stare. He gave a single, slow nod. Then he turned and began to work. He moved with an odd, economical precision. There was no wasted motion that he didn't fumble with wrappers or condiments. His hands, long-fingered and pale, knew exactly where everything was in the gloom of his cart. He handed Chloe her food first. That it wasn't a cheeseburger, that it was a white paper boat, the kind you get fancy fries in, and it was piled high with what looked like perfectly golden, extra crispy chicken tenders and a side of honey mustard. Chloe's breath hitched. "How did you?" she started, but then she just shook her head, a bewildered smile on her face. "I was literally just craving these. Like, craving them. My mom used to make them from scratch when I was a kid. This is insane." The man said nothing. That he handed me my order. That it was also in a paper boat. But it wasn't a hot dog. That it was a grilled cheese sandwich. But not just any grilled cheese. That it was made with thick, soft white bread, the crusts cut off, grilled to a perfect golden brown with exactly the right amount of butter, the American cheese inside melted into a seamless, gooey sheet, cut into 4 small triangles. A coldness that had nothing to do with the night air washed over me. My mouth went dry. My mom used to make me grilled cheese like that. Exactly like that. It was my favorite sick day food, my comfort food. The crusts always bothered me as a kid, so she'd cut them off. I hadn't eaten one like this in 20 years. I hadn't even thought about it. I said, "A hot dog." I stammered, my voice weak. The man's dark eyes held mine. "Did you?" he asked softly. That he knew I hadn't truly desired a hot dog. That he knew what I'd really wanted, buried under layers of adulthood and city fatigue, was that specific childhood comfort. "How much?" Chloe asked, already digging in her purse, seemingly oblivious to my shock. She pulled out a 10. The man shook his head slowly. "Not tonight. The first one is an introduction." That was even weirder. Who gives away free food in New York City? Chloe, however, was delighted. "Wow, thanks. That's so sweet." She picked up a chicken tender and took a bite, closing her eyes in bliss. "Oh my God, it's perfect. That it tastes exactly like my mom's." A tiny bit of honey mustard clung to her full, glossed lower lip. I stared at it, my mind a chaotic mess of childhood memory and a sudden, sharp, inappropriate urge to lean over and lick it off. The vendor's eyes were on me again. I felt naked. We walked away, eating our food in silence. The grilled cheese was perfect. That it was a flawless replica of a memory. Every bite was a little time machine, and it should have been comforting. But it wasn't. It felt invasive. Like someone had reached into my head, rifled through my most private nostalgia, and served it back to me on a paper plate. "That was the weirdest thing," Chloe said finally, balling up her empty container. She licked her fingers, one by one, and I watched, mesmerized and horrified by my own fixation. "But God, it was good. That I might have to go back tomorrow." "Don't," I said a little too quickly. She looked at me, her head tilted. "Why not? Free amazing food? Sign me up." "I don't know, that guy gave me the creeps." She laughed. "Mark, you're such a worrier." That he was just a nice, quiet guy who makes incredible comfort food. Maybe he's a psychic chef. She nudged me with her elbow, and the brief contact sent a jolt through me. Lighten up. That it was a nice end to a shitty day. We parted ways at the subway station. I watched her walk down the steps, the sway of her hips disappearing into the bright, tiled mouth of the underground. I stood there for a long time, the taste of childhood grilled cheese still on my tongue, feeling utterly alone. The next day at work was awkward. Every time I looked at Chloe, I saw the honey mustard on her lip. I remembered the way her blouse had gaped, and I felt the vendor's eyes watching me watch her. I was distracted, making stupid mistakes in spreadsheets, zoning out in meetings. Chloe, however, was buzzing. She told everyone about the magic food cart on Canal Street. Most people laughed it off, but she was insistent. "No, seriously. I was craving my mom's chicken tenders, and he gave me my mom's chicken tenders. Mark got his childhood grilled cheese. Ask him." I just shrugged and mumbled something about it being a coincidence. But that night, I found myself walking down Canal Street again. I told myself I was just taking a different route home. But my pace quickened as I neared the corner of Church, and a weird mix of dread and anticipation coiled in my stomach. He was there. The cart was in the exact same spot, the single bulb buzzed, and he was standing there, perfectly still, waiting. It was as if he hadn't moved an inch in 24 hours. As I approached, he didn't ask for my order. He simply turned and began preparing something. I stopped a few feet from the cart, my heart hammering against my ribs. The street was quieter tonight, the city's noise feeling muffled and distant. He handed me a paper boat. Inside were 3 perfect, warm chocolate chip cookies. They were slightly soft in the middle with a little sprinkle of sea salt on top. My knees almost buckled. My grandmother. Every Sunday after church she'd have a plate of these waiting for me. She called them her special sweeties. I hadn't thought about those cookies or her in years. She passed away when I was 12. I looked up at the vendor, my mouth open, no words coming out. He stared back, his expression unchanging. You desire to remember her, he stated. It wasn't a question. How are you doing this? I whispered, my voice trembling. He didn't answer. He just held out his hand. This time he wanted payment. $5, he said. I fumbled my wallet out, my hands shaking, and shoved a 5 at him. I didn't want the cookies anymore. I wanted to run. But I took the boat. I had to. It felt like refusing would be dangerous. I walked away without eating them. I could smell them, the warm chocolate and butter, and it made my stomach turn. When I got home, I left the boat on my kitchen counter and went straight to bed. I didn't sleep. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, seeing his flat, dark eyes. The obsession began after that. It was a slow creep. I'd catch myself thinking about the cart at odd moments. During a conference call, I'd be mentally walking down Canal Street. I'd be trying to focus on writing an email, and I'd suddenly get a phantom smell of my grandmother's cookies. And Chloe? God, Chloe? The two things became tangled together in my head. The invasive, intimate horror of the cart and my increasingly intrusive thoughts about her. We were working late again a week later, and she was frustrated, chewing on the end of her pen. I watched her lips press against the plastic, and my mind conjured an image of those lips, slick and parted, and then, superimposed over it, the vendor's pale, expressionless face. I jerked in my chair, knocking my coffee mug over. Shit, Mark, you okay? She asked, jumping up to grab paper towels. Yes, sorry, just zoned out, I mumbled, helping her sop up the lukewarm coffee. My hand brushed against hers, and the contact felt electric and wrong. I snatched my hand back. She gave me a strange look. You've been really spacey lately, she said, her tone concerned. Is everything all right? Fine, I lied, just tired. I wasn't fine. I was going back to the cart almost every night. It was always there. He was always there. He never greeted me. He just started cooking as I approached. He served me my father's famous chili, the one he only made on the first cold day of fall. He served me the specific brand of strawberry ice cream my first girlfriend and I always ate when we'd rent movies. He served me the exact meal I'd eaten the night before I left for college. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes and peas, a meal my mom had made, crying because she was so sad to see me go. Each meal was a bullet from my past, and he was the sniper. He knew things I'd forgotten, things I'd never told anyone. With every visit, the price went up. $5 $20. It didn't matter. I would have paid anything. I was addicted to the horror of it, to the violation. It felt like he was scooping out my insides and serving them back to me on a paper plate. The payment started to change too. Sometimes it wasn't money. One night, after he gave me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich cut into the shape of a star, my kindergarten lunch for a whole year, he said, "Your payment is to not speak for 1 hour." I stood there, stunned. But I did it. I walked all the way home in complete silence, my own voice screaming in my head. Another night, after a plate of my aunt's terrible dry Christmas fruitcake, I'd always pretended to like it, he said, "Your payment is to turn around 3 times before you enter your building." I did that too, feeling like a complete idiot, spinning on the sidewalk under the watchful eyes of the dark windows. He was getting into my routines, my rituals. He was becoming a part of my life. And through it all, there was Chloe. My desire for her became more intense, more sharpened by the constant low-grade terror I was living in. It was like my fear was dialing all my other emotions up to 11. I'd watch the way a strand of her dark hair would fall across her cheek as she typed, and I'd imagine hooking my finger behind her ear to tuck it back, feeling the soft shell of her ear, the warm skin of her neck. Then I'd imagine the vendor's hand doing the same thing, his long, pale fingers touching her, and a nausea would wash over me so strong I'd have to go to the bathroom and splash water on my face. One Tuesday, it all came to a head. We'd had a brutal client presentation that went poorly. The client was a jerk, and he'd made Chloe cry in the hallway afterward. I tried to comfort her, my hand on her shoulder, feeling the delicate bone structure under her sweater, and the urge to pull her against me was so powerful I had to physically step back. She was upset, humiliated. "I need a drink," she said, wiping under her eyes. "A big one. Come with me?" We went to a quiet bar nearby. She had 2 martinis, fast that I nursed a beer. The alcohol loosened her up, and she started talking, really talking about her frustrations with the job, her dreams of moving out west, her messy breakup 6 months ago. She was vulnerable and beautiful, and sitting very close to me in the dim booth. Her knee brushed against mine under the table and she didn't move it away. The combination of her proximity, her scent, her sadness, and the relentless anxiety that had been my constant companion for weeks created a potent, dangerous cocktail inside me that I wanted her desperately, and the wanting felt like a form of madness. "You know what I really want?" she slurred slightly, leaning closer. Her breath smelled of gin and olives. "I want those stupid chicken tenders from that cart. That I know you think it's weird, but it's the only thing that sounds good." A cold dread poured down my spine. "Chloe, no, let's just get you a taxi home." "No. I want to go. Come with me, please, Mark." She looked up at me, her eyes wide and pleading, lashes still damp, her gloss had worn off, and her lips looked softer, more naked. That I was lost. "Okay," I heard myself say. "Okay, fine." The walk to Canal Street felt like a death march. The night was clear and cold. Chloe looped her arm through mine for balance, her body pressed against my side that I could feel the curve of her breast against my arm, the warmth of her through our clothes. That it was everything I'd fantasized about, and it felt completely and